Hello, football fans. Welcome back. This is the, Super Bowl preview show for the Scuffed Football Podcast. This is Noah. I'm Ted. Don't have much to discuss, so I don't expect this to be a long one, but man, here we go. I guess we go in order. Let's start AFC game, man. Obviously, the Chiefs win and head towards the Super Bowl. I don't know about you, man. This game was really disappointing. I was really ready for more. I know both defenses are really good. I guess I just wanted more out of this game. I mean, we didn't see any scoring in the second half. I didn't think either offense came to play football, period. Defenses looked okay, but they didn't look great because there wasn't much offense to play against. It was just kind of a unfortunate letdown of a game.
Yeah, no, I mean, I agree. I think coming into this game, we both wanted a better game, obviously. And I just didn't see anything from the Ravens, man. I mean, don't get me wrong. Zay Flowers, have yourself a day. You know, he's their number one receiver now. But, man, I expected so much more from this game. I thought, Baltimore could, move past the Chiefs. I've been saying it nonstop all season, okay? As much as I hate to do this, I called it, bro. I knew it. I literally knew it because we haven't seen them perform in the playoffs. They are a regular season team. They've been killing it in the regular season for multiple seasons. But when it comes to the time that it matters, they just don't show up. And I really thought this year was going to be different. Like, I'll be the first to admit, I was on the bandwagon, I was all Ravens this one. But, man, every time I'm ready to call them ready, they're just not.
It's interesting that you say that. I want to harp in on a couple of points there because it doesn't just feel like the playoffs that set them off this time, right? Like they certainly had a good divisional round, right? Like in ways that, like, if we were just chalking them up to years past, they don't even get that far, right? But like the part that kind of sticks out most to me from that game, I know Zay Flowers had a good game on paper, right? But in one drive, he had the taunting penalty that cost him 15 yards, a fumble at the 2, and then a broken hand. And like, man, it sucks to say that, like, well, that's the difference maker. They only lost by 7. If he didn't fumble the ball, they'd have been fine, right? Or if they had 15 more yards, they would have been fine. I don't know. It just feels like nothing clicked, right? So there's Zay Flowers with the drop, and it just one bad drive, even on a drive that was otherwise really good. Lamar felt like he didn't find open targets all day. Ravens running backs only carried the ball 6 times against, again, a Chiefs 28th ranked run defense. Like, why can't offensive coordinators just learn to run the damn ball? I've been harping on this for the Eagles for like 10 weeks, man. Just run the fucking ball. But it just felt like the Ravens just didn't really show up. It felt like the Chiefs didn't have to after maybe like halfway through the second quarter. I wanted good football, and I didn't get it from either team. There were so many things to be let down for as a guy rooting for the Ravens, right? Like, even as a Chiefs fan, you can't feel confident going to San Francisco after the game you just played. Like, I think this was just a letdown for everybody involved.
No, I mean, I agree. And I mean, hell, like, you guys, like, Ravens, running back room, it's not like, star-studded, but they have, like, decent players. And I mean, we just watched, like, literally a blueprint. I mean, we watched the Bills run through the Chiefs. And, like, I agree. I don't understand why, like, offensive coordinators, they don't, like, look back at that and just be like, okay, you know what? Let's start running it. I mean, you have Lamar Jackson. You have decent running backs. Man. Well, I agree. It's a letdown for everything.
And part of it, too, is just the decision to run the ball. You don't need to run for 200 yards to stay on the ground, right? Like, just the run in the idea that we can play something other than pass defense, it makes it successful. If they have to guess whether you're going to run or pass the ball, it makes your offense that much better. The decision to throw 1,000,000 times to receivers that can't seem to catch beyond Zay Flowers, right? Like, is just not a sustainable way to play football, man. And if the Chiefs aren't going to have that kind of easy day on defense against the Chiefs or against the 49ers in the next round, rather, like, it's just, this wasn't good football, man. It was so disappointing. And I hate the idea that the Chiefs are moving on to their 4th Super Bowl in 5 years. And this was the kind of challenge they face for it. Like, it just, if they're going to be that dynasty, if they're going to be the next time we see the Patriots for 20 years, right? Like, earn it at least, man. This was so goddamn upsetting. I'm so let down.
Yeah, I agree.
All right, moving on to the NFC. I thought this was a much better game. Again, I was on the wrong rooting interest. But the Lions and 49ers actually turned out to be a much better game than I was prepared for it to be. We kind of talked here last week that I remember saying that if the Lions win, it's going to be close. If the Niners win, it's going to be a blowout, right? Like, we kind of didn't get either one of those things. We certainly saw two very different halves, right? In the first half, the Lions were absolutely dominating. The 49ers definitely played better in the second half. Their defense stepped up. They got their offense churning. It turned into a really exciting football game, probably one of the best we've seen this postseason. I want to start here by talking about Dan Campbell, because I see a lot of people online blaming Dan Campbell for the way that game ended, and I kind of want your thoughts.
Honestly, this was one of the things I was bringing up. This is what I mentioned. I've seen him come under a lot of fire. I think Dan Campbell is a great coach. Yes, I think they could have taken the points, but I like that the team supports him. Jared Goff went out, actively said, listen, I like that he did this. Like, he trusted us to get it done, because we didn't. Like, he's now getting the smoke. I think, I don't know what I would have done in Dan Campbell's situation, but I really respect and admire him for going for it. Even when you are down, and even like a field goal would tie it and you still go for it. I can truly respect that. I think they lost on their own terms. I think if you're the Lions, I think as much as, obviously this playoff run has meant to Detroit, I think you guys should feel good going into next season. I think you guys have a really good foundation to build on. I like Dan Campbell. What can I say, man?
Yeah, I want to agree with you, but I think it only comes to a certain extent, right? I agree with you, and you have the balls to go for it. All the respect to you. You have the locker room built, and that's fine and dandy and all, right? I think it's a whole lot different, though, when you're playing in a regular season game versus the NFC Championship, right? Like, I think part of being a coach is making the decisions that give you the best chance to win a game, right? And I think that the best chance there is probably to kick the field goal and promise yourself another possession. Like, I'm not even saying that I disagree with what he did, because again, if he's got the locker room behind him, right, and if his players believe in him, that honestly, as Dan Campbell, there's a reason you make that play call. If you're looking at a bunch of like fifth graders up against an NFL team, you're not making that play call and going, no, we got this one. Like, he believes in his players enough to do it, right? But I think that, like, there has to be some logic about this. Isn't the difference between 12-5 and 11-6. This is, we have a chance to play again next week, or we don't. I think if it's me, I kick the field goal there just because it feels like the safer play. But I also, like you said, I do respect him for making that choice. And again, as you mentioned, he seems to be a really great coach. He's got the locker room together. He turned Detroit around and gave them a really good season and a whole lot to grow on next year. Like, this shouldn't be such a letdown as a Lions fan. Trust me, as an Eagles fan, I lost 4 of these in a row as I was growing up. I promise you, you'll get over it. It'll get better, and then right next season you'll be ready to buy in again and hope you get another deep playoff run. Right? Like, this is a good season, right? You were a top 4 team in the NFL, and I think this is a whole lot to ride on. Like, this should be a feel good season for Detroit, and I have no qualms about the way their season ended. I also kind of want to talk about the 49ers and their push moving forward. Out of the 2 teams that we see playing next week, right, I think that San Francisco certainly played the better game this past week. But I think there's a whole lot to be said about the Chiefs are here again. Brock Purdy is here for the first time. There's a lot of, like, questions. There's a lot of, like, consistency play, right? And where we saw a really bad half out of both the 49ers and Chiefs this past week, I think a whole lot of it comes down to who plays better on Sunday. You can't just chalk it up to one bad week or one good week when both teams had 2 very distinct halves. How do you see the 49ers past week kind of leading into their Super Bowl and how they'll get the very experienced Chiefs?
I mean, I want to just straight up say fuck the Chiefs. So we're gonna keep it like that. That being said, though, I mean, I agree. Like, this is obviously Brock Purdy's first time. He's never played in a Super Bowl. I mean, he's played now in an NFC Championship. He's played it in twice, but there's a difference between the NFC Championship and the Super Bowl. That being said, I know they have some players who have been there. Obviously, a few years ago they went to the Super Bowl. So most of that like the bigger names are returning for that. So I mean, they have that experience, but I mean, they still haven't won it. So I think the championship pedigree here it definitely helps the Chiefs. They've been here before. They've done it before. They've even lost a few before. Like I truly believe that the experience that they have is going to help them. That being said, I mean, I really hope Brock Purdy can, pull out a Tom Brady-esque moment and, shine. But we can't see the same, half that we saw. And you can't rely on the Chiefs to just not show up offensively either. Like they're still a very explosive offense. So I have no idea, man.
Yeah, I guess I'm super fascinated, right? I mean, as much as I've talked shit about Brock Purdy on this podcast, right? But that's only as an MVP, not as a human being, right? In the idea that like, I mean, I think he's a good kid with a good head on his shoulders, right? Like I think he says the right things. I think he makes the right decisions. Like, and he seems calm all the time. I want to believe that this moment, like the Super Bowl, isn't going to get to him as being this like big ominous thing, right? That like it's just another football game against just another team when he's walking through and beating all of these other teams, right? I mean, now you've got a healthy Deebo Samuel. You've got Brandon Ayuk playing out of his skull. Just a shout out. That was the craziest catch I've ever seen in my entire goddamn life. I've never seen anything like it and won't again. Christian McCaffrey's obviously playing well. The 49ers defense has been playing solid all year long. Like, no hesitation there to say that they've been incredible. I want to believe that they have to walk in here feeling better than the Chiefs do. The Chiefs, like, even their good half of football last week was not nearly as good as the 49ers either half. Let's be honest. I don't know if the Chiefs defense holds up in these positions, and I think that there's a whole lot of like question marks and off the field stuff, right? That like really bringing a whole lot of negativity towards the Chiefs. I mean, not even the Taylor Swift stuff, right? But like Patrick Mahomes fucking with Justin Tucker on the pregame warm up, right? Like couldn't let the kicker warm up his leg, right? There's all kinds of comments and stuff about the referees, and the Chiefs are destined to be here because they hired Kansas City referees or whatever. Like I feel like there are just so many more questions and so many more excuses that the 49ers are just kind of doing this calm, quiet, relaxed. Like that has to be a really good feel going into a game like this.
Yeah, no, I mean, I agree. I think they just like snuck in almost because all the attention is definitely on the Chiefs here. I mean, I don't think anyone's surprised to see the Niners here. I think, people might have liked to see other teams here, but I think, beginning of the season, we ourselves, we kind of were like, well, Niners are probably going to be up top. Eagles are going to be there. Eagles, fell off. Thank God.
True.
But I memean, yeah, I don't think anyone was just like, not, no one was shocked when they saw the Niners win. I feel like all the attention is definitely on the Chiefs right now.
Okay. Well, so now we usually do our gambling segment here. Lines provided by FanDuel, as always. Gamble responsibly. The whole spiel. You've heard it before. This week I want to do something a little different because it is only one game, right? So the spread is 1.5 in favor of the 49ers. The over-under for total points in the game is 47.5. I'd like you to build a 3-leg parlay for our listeners, viewers, whatever platform you're receiving this on, right? With the spread, the total, and a touchdown score. Or if you'd like another prop, you can throw in something else instead. I can lead us off if you're interested, since I didn't really
lead us off.
I didn't really give you a whole lot of time here. All right. If I was putting my money in on the parlay, I would take the 49ers minus 1.5. I'm taking the over on 47.5 total points because I think it should be a pretty reasonable scoring game. The safe option is obviously Christian McCaffrey to score.
Yeah, of course.
But the prop that I would take if I had to take one is Brock Purdy over on passing yards. If this is a high-scoring game, I like the 49ers to continue throwing the ball, whether that's checkdowns to McCaffrey or Ayuk, who's playing out of his mind, or a healthy Deebo Samuel. The line I believe I saw was 250 yards. Let me double check while I'm here. But like I said, I think the prop that I would probably take for a better payout would be Brock Purdy on the passing yards. Yeah, Brock Purdy over 245.5.
Okay. I think I'd do the same thing, except instead of the player prop, I think I'd do anytime score, but I'm going to include two here. I'd do McCaffrey and Deebo.
Okay. I personally, I hate taking two player props for touchdowns. They just never work in my favor. One of them scores and the other one doesn't.
Yeah.
You can bank on it. I did it this weekend, as a matter of fact, with McCaffrey. I picked him to score a touchdown. I had to leave Jahmyr Gibbs off because I knew that if I picked McCaffrey, Gibbs wasn't going to. McCaffrey then scored 2, and if I had picked Gibbs, it wouldn't have worked. But also, Gibbs, I lost out on 1.5 yards for my entire parlay, and I'm really pissed off about it. Dude had 46 out of 47.5 at halftime, ended the game with 45. I've never been more angry. Noah got like an entire ass fucking paragraph of one-line messages from me. I was so mad about this fucking parlay. Anyway, I think we will also do a fun list of props after the Super Bowl as we do our recap for things like the coin flip, the over-under on the national anthem, all that fun stuff. As we get closer and they start to announce those props, I think it'll be fun to throw some of those in there. Anything else you're looking at as far as gambling? Maybe some value? Anywhere that you might be looking other than the standard?
I don't know. Maybe taking Rashee Rice's over on those yards. Maybe that's it.
Yeah,
that's all I'm looking at.
And if you can buy in early and Kadarius Toney has a line, take his under. Take the way under. All right. Like I said, this is a short one. Kind of rough to do a long podcast when we only got 3 games to cover, but here we are. As always, thank you guys for watching. We will see you in a couple weeks after the game. Cover the Super Bowl and talk you into next season. Thanks for watching. See you next time.